Good morning, Kylie from the Art House Factory here. Thought I would take you guys through the process I go through when I design something from scratch. So normally if I'm working on a custom project and there's an existing house or a site, I work with those parameters because that's what you've got to work in. If I'm working on a pre-design, I have no parameters. And so I just want to take you through a process that I go through because they can be different. And but this one is, I've had this idea chugging around in my head, and so I'm going to take you through it. Camera quality is not quite as good because I'm doing this on the computer because I need to be at a desk to do this one. So normally I start one of two ways. If it's an idea for a floor plan or things like that, quite often I start with the old graph paper. That's easiest because I prefer to work to scale because I don't like to design something if I don't know it's going to work. I'm really big on the function and I'm really big on spaces working, so I tend to start to scale to a certain extent if I can. Or yesterday, this showed up during a meditation. Now that doesn't normally happen to me, that I suddenly get an idea for something, but I came out and I drew that up. That doesn't have a floor plan, so if I want to design a building to that, now I'm going to have to come up with a floor plan. I have one that I mucked around with about 5 years ago that hasn't been brought forward from an initial floor plan stage. That may well fit this, so that happens occasionally, but today we're going to start with the graph paper. So we'll just bring you down here. And what I want to do is, it's a series of pods. There we go. It's a series of pods. So what I want is a garage, a lounge room, a kitchen, a couple of bedrooms and a main bedroom. And I want this in a long line. And the reason being, in my head, is I want the end result, I'll try and draw this upside down for you. I want the end result, so that's the ground. I want the end result building to walk down like this, along a site with the garage there. So we'll have an entry here somewhere. It's a front door, it's really technical. And so what we will have is a building that walks up a site. So we can have north on the front of the building, or we can have north on the back of the building. So this way, this building's adaptable, and we can just reverse it on site depending on where our north is. So it's for a long, thin one. It's going to be a 3-bedroom home. So what I want to work with here, and I'll spin this around again, is so we've got a garage, and these squares, I tend to work with, this way, I tend to work with these squares being 1 metre. So one of those is 1 metre. So we want a garage, so we need 6. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need 6 there. And I tend to put a single garage on quite often to start with. 1, 2, 3. And so 3 is a single garage. I go 3.5 because there's nothing worse than not being able to open your doors. So we're going to do a garage pod there, and I want the whole lot to line up. So next, so cars coming in this side. So next what I want is a lounge room pod, and because I'm a compact designer, it's like, do I want that pod to be 6 metres deep? I don't necessarily need it to be 6 metres deep to be a compact design. So what we'll do, we'll pop a door in here, we'll drop it back to 5 metres, keep it level at the front here. And so I'm thinking for compact design lounge room, we're going to need, and we want to be able to walk through this. So we might go 1, 2, 3, we'll go 4.5. 4.5 metres, and that's possibly too big. For my aims and goals, quite possibly that's too big. So what we're going to need then is, I want a kitchen pod. So distances, I'm just working out sort of in my head as I go at this point from experience. So I want a kitchen pod here looking into this living area, but because I want it to step up the site, we're going to need stairs and things like that, and I want the stairs along this edge of the building, along here. I don't know how that's going to happen yet, so that then gives me 4 metres back here if I'm going to keep this all in alignment. Now a kitchen, standard kitchen benches, 600 deep, so I just draw that straight in. So that's a kitchen bench, and it's going to look down into this living area. Now to get a good working distance between your kitchen benches, to my mind, 1500 is a good one. So that line there is 14. So you can go anywhere from about 1100s You can work with 1100. I've done it before. I've lived in one with 1100 mil between those benches. We'll put it up to 14 because anything a lot more than that, and what you're going to end up with is you can get fatigue. You can get user fatigue in the kitchen. So we're going to have a galley kitchen here. Now, this pod is not going to be just kitchen. What I'm thinking I would like to include in here will be a walk-in pantry and a bathroom. So to do that, this is a wall. What we then want is, all right, what's a good distance for a bathroom and a pantry? So if you're thinking pantry, you've got your benches, once again, 600. 300 mil shelving is really good in a pantry because you don't get that stacking back. You can't find things. You end up with 18-year-old tuna. So what we want here is if we go from this line to this line, we've got 1200. I'm not all that happy with that because we want that to be a bathroom as well, and you can do a 1200 wide one. I prefer 15. So I'm going to pop out to here. So we can come back to here. Now with this, the next question is, all right, if this is our back wall, we need a walkway through here. So we pretty much eliminate, where's my rubber? Sometimes I rub out, sometimes I just make a big mess. I'll rub it out today so that it makes it a bit clearer for you. So we've got a pantry in here, it's 1500 deep here. And so what I'm thinking is, all right, how much space do we want in here? I've got 4 meters here. And so it's like, all right, do I have enough space here to get a 2 meter by 1.5 bathroom? Not really. Not really if this is going to be a common bathroom, because what we want in this bathroom is a shower. May or may not want a bath. Baths are becoming quite optional now, so we'll just work with going, we might want a bath. This space here, if it's 2 meters long by 1500, is it going to be an effective pantry? Depends what we want to do in there. If it's a butler's pantry, no. If it's just a pantry for food storage, we can actually make that a bit shorter and drop that back to maybe 1200. And what we get then is bench there, shelves there. That's workable. That's actually really workable, given that we have 4 meters of bench space and just over 3 meters of bench space here. So I'm going to keep this super compact. We're going to make that a 12. So we've got 1200, we've got 1500 here. So what that gives me is now 15 here for a bathroom and what's that, 2.6 long. So that's quite workable for a compact bathroom. So we're going to just leave it at that. That has then become another pod through here. Now bear in mind these aren't final sizes. So what we've got is we need to come up here. There's stairs up here. We want stairs up here because we're coming up here. I know that's upside down, bear with me. Up here, we need to come up. So we've got stairs, we've got stairs. Next I want is the kids' pods, bedrooms. And I want these pods, ideally, I want these pods very similar distances. So we've got, what have we got here? Just over 4 here. We've got just over 4 here. So if we go just over 4 here, we come to about here. So if I'm going, all right, it's just over 4, I'm limiting myself on the bedrooms. I want 2 bedrooms in this pod. So I can go, all right, am I limiting myself too much, or is this workable? So that's what we need to ask ourselves. I'm inclined to go, all right, 2 meter wide bedrooms. Is that workable? Sure, I could do it. But is it workable? Probably not really easily. I'm going to bring this out to just over 5. So the pods aren't quite the same size. We can highlight that with colour. We can highlight that with different materials. And I want this, about equal. So what I've done here is I've got about 2.5 either side. And we've got hallway coming through here, so let's get rid of that. So I've now got 4 by 2.5, tiny, right? It's a compact design house. So what we then have to do is go, all right, how do we get this to work? And this is where a lot of my head time's been spent, because I tend to spend a lot of time in my head is, how do I get this space here to work? Parents' bedroom, That one's quite easy. So there'll be stairs here again somewhere. Parents' bedroom, we'll come back to that to keep these pods relatively similar. We've got a narrower one, these two are the same, these two are slightly wider. So if we keep working with that, as we go up this thing, it's going to get slightly wider as we get up here. Perfectly okay. This bedroom's where all the brain space has been going for me, because it's like, all right, if it's only, you know, 2.5 wide, bit longer, bit larger than 2.5 wide, how do I get beds? And I tend to design all my beds to keep my bedrooms to fit a queen bed in, because as kids get older now, they want the double beds, they want the queen beds, all that sort of stuff. So that's what we do. So I'm going, all right, queen bed is about 1600. Can I write this upside down for you? Probably not. 1600 by 2100 is a queen bed. So what I've been thinking, and this is, like I said, a lot of headspace on this, is I want these beds up the back here. So what I'll do is I'll just mark out what 1600 looks like through here, and we'll bring that to there. So it's like, all right, 1600 looks approximately this width here. So then the question is, all right, how do I make that work? And what I've been thinking is we then start to stack. So one comes into the bed here, one comes into the bed here. And so we're going to need higher than your standard 2400 ceiling heights. That's okay, because I hadn't decided on ceiling heights for any of this. So this room is going to dictate my ceiling heights. So we'll just assume that we're working with a higher ceiling height here. And so what we've got is about 2.4 metres there. Then we're going to layer this. So if we look at this and go, all right, how do we get space in here? And if I layer, then I go, all right, well, we need 2.1 metres. So if I come out, half of that is 1.05 metres. So I come out approximately that here, and I come out approximately that here. So that space there is a queen size bed. So if we've got two queen size beds on top of each other here, this is looking pretty good. What I've ended up with is about 1200 here, about 1200 here, which can work as a walk-in wardrobe. It's not huge. This is also encouraging a bit of a minimalist lifestyle in terms of, you know, get rid of all your crap, which is part of what I do. So I'm going, all right, these beds will be stacked. So one here will need a ladder here somewhere. The other one you'll crawl in underneath. And I like lots of head height. So that is something that I will draw. So when you come up here, okay, I'll do this upside down for you. What I want is there'd be a wall through here. I want the beds to sort of sit like this. So one you will come in this way, one you'll come in this way, and I want plenty of head height on both of them. I want to be able to sit up in bed and not feel cramped in bed. I hate those. I love tiny houses, but I'm not a fan of that, not being able to sit up, not being able to move freely in your bedroom space. So I want plenty of space here. Here, we then can put in little walk-in wardrobes. So both rooms get a little walk-in wardrobe. So that's pretty cool. And what we're left with here, just over 2.5, about 2.5 metres here. What I would like would be to somehow accommodate in here, excuse my computer doing that, it's telling me that I should be making a video. Good to be on target. What I want in here is a lounge room space, because as kids get older, they spend more and more time in these rooms. So when the kids are younger, this can be a play space. When they get older, you want an office, you want a lounge, you want a hangout space, computer games, TVs, all of that sort of stuff, if that's what we need there. So what we can do is we need access through here. So it's all right, how do I get these spaces to work? So let's assume we might want a desk through here. Those ones are only 300. Let's make those deeper. We have desks through here. Now we have enough space too to get some sort of seating on this side as well. So this is the idea. This is what I've been playing with in my head. is we have desk spaces here, we have lounge seating out here. You walk in this way, you've got walk-in robes, and you've got these beds that you climb up under, you climb under, or you climb over in. And what that suddenly gives us is we have utilised this space, which is far less space you would normally take for 2 bedrooms, and we've now got 2 queen-size bedrooms, walk-in robes, desks and lounge areas. So you've got the complete package in this space, which is just over 2.5 metres by 4. And by utilising that layering effect, this works really well. And what we can also end up with, depending on how high I make that ceiling, you can end up with, for the top bed, a breakout space where they can sit up here and read and things like that. And with this, the bottom bed on this side, there's no reason why you can't then have a tall breakout space up here for them as well. So they get this little high level cubby hole. Both of them will have windows through here. So a ton of light. If your north is this way, ton of light coming through here, and we put high level windows in here as well. So you get your solar passive in. So this is something I've been thinking about a lot. Main bedroom, what we want in here is bathrooms. You want a walk-in robe, all those sorts of things. So once again, we've got the bed. We need some sort of passageway here. So you can go with, and we may find here, I know we're all right. We can do a very similar layout here, only it's slightly bigger than what we did back here for the bathroom and the pantry back here. So we can get in walk-in robe and a bathroom in here, as well as having plenty of space for your queen size bed over there. King size, plenty of space if you've got a king size as well in this one. So then, you know, it's a matter of going, all right, do we do the bathroom this way, walk in this way, those sorts of things. Some people like to walk through their walk-in robe to come to a bathroom. That's all logistics we can sort out later. So what we've got here now is we've got a rough out for a plan that I've had in my head. So it's like, all right, well, we've got all of this stuff happening. We can have internal access here. We can have access to a deck. So remember, this is raised. These are all raised up. So what you can then put at the back, if you want, is a series of decks that then walk up. I would consider too, as a pre-design, the decks up here off these areas, I would consider as optionals. So we've got a basic layout here that's going to work. So this is how I tend to work out to go, all right, yes, functionally, a design that I've had in my head works. And that's why I work on the graph paper, because it shows me right from the start that this is going to be a viable effort. So I'm not wasting my time. Now, if we come back here, okay, so I've got a layout here. I don't normally turn my paper around, but for the sake of doing this for you guys, we've got the garage, we've got the pods here. They're approximately the right size here. That's pretty cool. I didn't realise I'd done that. So in my head, I want this to walk up. So this one, your garage is on the ground. As I said, our ground's here. So our north, because I design all of my pre-designs to have a set north, and then we work into those to go, all right, I really like this design, but my front door is actually going to be here, but my north's here. We can work with all of that sort of stuff. So what I'm then going to do is work backwards and forth between the two. If I want this to be my streetscape, this is how we look from the front. How do I want this building to look? So we're looking at, they're not pitched roofs. I want this square look. So what we can do is we can have very, very slight fall on the roofs that fall to the back, or we can do a roof that's got, you know, that'll give us square looking from the front, but from the sides, it actually has a bit of a slope on it. Or we can do something that is square all the way around, and then there's a roof inside and box gutters, those sorts of things. That sort of decision I like to leave to depend on the client, because if you build something like this in New England, you do not want box gutters, because you get snap freeze up there with the water. That can damage your gutters and you end up with water inside. Whereas down on the coast where you don't have those extreme temperatures, far more viable to have box gutters. What I want with this is I want to work with, I love circles. So what I'm thinking in my head is I would love a series of circles on this building, different locations, as you go through this, and I'd like them to be glass. So I'm wanting these glass circles along this building facade, and we can do that with metal pop-out awnings. We can do that with things. We could even make the entire window, say that's the front there, you can even make the entire window a pop-out window so that it sits out proud of the building like that, which I personally think is really cool. So I want these windows as we go up, and bear in mind this is hallway up this side. It's hallway, so if we go right, we want windows up here. Let's work with a pop-out window. So we want some windows. We want that lined up with the kitchen, bedroom. I'm inclined to want to do it lining up with the bed. I like lying in bed and looking out windows. Down here, if we've got our door here somewhere, we end up with these circles. Now two things that I haven't drawn into this building: laundry, storage. So this is something where you start coming back in here and going, all right, well, how do I get laundries and storage into this? So this is tight. That pod, bedroom pod, really tight. Nothing's going to happen there. Main bedroom pod, do we want our laundry in the main bedroom pod? No, we don't. We absolutely don't. We think enough about laundry as it is. We don't want it in there where we're resting. Could we put it out here in this kitchen pod? Yeah, we could. We could. And it would depend on how that works. It could become part of your kitchen. Just in Australia, we need to have that laundry tub as well as your kitchen tub. So you need the two tubs if you're going to do that as part of the kitchen. I quite like that idea to really streamline laundry functions. To do that though, you need somewhere for your laundry, dirty clothes and stuff to be stored. You can do that in the bathrooms, or you can actually build into your walk-in robes and stuff like that, laundry hamper space. That works. One thing we can do though is we still don't have much storage in this place. No, I'm really big on storage. As I said before, I'm really practical. This hallway is quite narrow. One option we have, which I've been tossing around, is actually building the storage in around these windows. So I don't know what you do there, but let's just fill it in. So this becomes your storage all up the length of that hallways. Hallways can be a bit of a waste of space, but if you can make it functional, then you're just winning on so many levels. So this way we've suddenly got a ton of storage. A laundry can go in here. Linen, you've got sports gear, you've got luggage, you've got all that sort of stuff. I wanted those windows proud. So we can make that deeper. And then we've also got, we've got another bonus, which I love, is we can put seating in here. So you've got this beautiful hallway, you've got this outlook to the street, you've got these round circles, glass in them and stuff like that. What you can actually do is put in seating. So as you come up this hallway, you've got these beautiful little breakouts, spaces that overlook the street. You're elevated above the street, which is so cool on these two pods. So you can sit there and read, and you can put bookcases in around here. So you can do all this sort of stuff. That's meant to be books. To make these beautiful little breakout spaces, we need airflow. So it's all right, how do we get airflow and stuff like that? And that's where we start looking, all right, how do we do this? Do we want these to be able to be opened? Or do you look at putting high level things along there? I quite like it without those, but do I want to ruin my lovely circles? So these are the questions that we need to start working into. So this is the sort of stuff that I get up to when I'm working out a design. Once I've got something like this, then what I tend to do is I will now take this, my house is upside down, and because I've worked it out to scale, I will then, I'm okay to get straight on the computer to then start to work this out and go, all right, how do I get my wall thicknesses? How do I get this distance? How do I get this distance? I already know it's a viable building because I've worked through it on the graph paper. So that's how I work. If I've just got a design in head, and it does start with a floor plan, and this particular design, I always wanted to do a pod one, walking up the landscape like that. But then once I also had an idea, and it was designed separately to this, for this bedroom space, I've gone, hang on, these two ideas work together and I can make something work here. So that's how I work through a rough design. This now will become one of my pre-designs for the Art House Factory, the Art House Factory, and this will become an option for someone to have a house. So that's how the process starts for me. Like I said, occasionally it starts like this. I'm going to work on this one. I quite like it. With this one, what I see is beautiful recycled brick through here. And what I'm thinking is the old blue bricks from up in Armidale. There's a beautiful brick you can get up there. They don't make it anymore. And it's called a blue brick because the kilns that they were fired in 100 plus years ago were faulty. And so they've got this, it's almost like a melted, beautiful blue, dark grey quality to some of the tiles. So I'm thinking that I would love, metal here that goes rusty, Corten or recycled metal or something like that. Beautiful glass all the way up through here. I will now also work on this one to see if I can get floor plans, that one I mentioned before, about 5 years old, see if I can get floor plans to work with that, and that may well end up on the Art House Factory as a pre-design as well. So this is the sort of stuff I do when I get bored. This is my weekend stuff. So I just wanted to share that with you. That's how some designers work. Not everyone works that way. I myself work different ways. But that is one way. That is how I tend to work with the super creative, working without site boundaries and site conditions and things like that. So any questions, hit me up. Happy to talk to you about it. We'll talk to you soon.